Hey y'all, welcome back to Leslie's Mature Makeup and Beauty. Today I thought we'd just kind of do a little chatty, get ready with me. I do have an eyeshadow palette that I haven't used before. I was kind of rearranging my stuff. I mean, obviously we're in a different spot in my house. And I realized I haven't used this yet. This is the BH Cosmetics Hanging in Hawaii palette. And then everything else is stuff that I've used before, but maybe I haven't used a lot, more recent purchases. I did go ahead and put on my eye primer. And I went ahead and put on a face primer. For eye primer, I used my NYX Ultimate Shadow and Liner Primer. And then I'm going to try this, using this again, this Moira Complete Facial Primer, the Pore Vanishing Primer. So I already have those two things on so they could be, you know, setting down and sinking in. So we'll just get started as usual with our eyes. And this is, I think they've redone the packaging, but I think the formula is supposed to be the same. No mirror, but they have a whole bunch of palettes in this travel series. There's 16 shades in here. There's some, you know, kind of warmer tones, cooler tones. 5 shimmers and 11 mattes. You know, some kind of pinky tones, brownie tones. So, yeah. We'll just get going here. I'm just going to take a big fluffy brush. And I've always got my Sigma switch in my lap, usually when I'm filming. And I haven't washed my brushes yet, so I'm just kind of cleaning that off to make sure there's no remnants of anything else on it. But I think I'm going to go in with this shade Shaka up here and start that in the crease. And this video should go up on Wednesday. Very powdery. So I hope everybody has had a good start to their week. We are halfway through January. Yay. You know, I live in the southern United States and we've had a little bit of a cold snap and I am not loving it. I definitely prefer the warmer months. Of course, when it's super hot, I'll start complaining because it's too hot, and I'll be ready for cooler weather, but after about 2 weeks, I'm done. A little bit of a warmer tone brown. But I've heard lots of good things about BH Cosmetics formula. It's one of those that I just haven't tried yet. Which, of course, there's tons out that I haven't tried. That's one of the things I want to do this year for sure, is try some things from some brands that I'm not as familiar with. Just taking that up a little bit higher. I think I may take a little bit of this pale pink color just on the same brush. This, what is this? Ohana right here. And just kind of place that up at the top of that transition shade. So give us a little pink. Pinks and purples and berries and mauves are some of my favorite tones. Just kind of mush those together there a little bit. It's a pretty pink color. Now let's try this Paradise shade, this deeper pink. I'm going to take it on a little bit of a flatter shader top brush. I'm going with Paradise, and we'll put a little of that in the outer corner and see what that does for us. Ooh, she bright. She is definitely, I think it's coming off a little more pink on my eye than it looks in the pan. You know, a little bit of a brighter pink. Can't say I'm mad about that though. Just kind of dragging a little bit of that over directly in the crease. And then I'm going to take my little tiny fluffy brush from my Angie Hot and Flashy set, hopefully, if I can find it. I'm going to take a little bit of that same shade and put in the inner corner, and we'll do kind of a little bit of like a little spotlight eye. Just taking a little bit on the tip of that brush. And I am just kind of connecting those shades directly in my crease, but leaving that center portion of my lid bare. And I'm just kind of slowly building this to get it where I want it. Bright. And then I'm going to take just a big, clean, fluffy brush and just kind of lightly diffuse those edges. Make sure everything blends seamlessly into the next shade. This is definitely giving me springy vibes. And then I'm gonna take there's Hula and Pineapple. I think I'm gonna take Hula. That's this shade in the top corner here, and put that just on the center. We'll try it with a brush and see how it applies with a brush. Make sure there's nothing on this one. And this is my A505, you know, just the super skinny flat brush that was supposed to be designed for shimmers. Now let's see what we can get with my finger. I mean, it applied okay with the brush, but I find that for most shimmer shades, you can really get better payoff either with your finger or a damp brush. I think most of the time I'm just too lazy for a damp brush. Yeah, that definitely gave us more. I'm gonna be knocking stuff over. And then I'm gonna take that fluffy brush that I used for that pink shade. I'm not gonna put anything else on it. Gonna wipe it off a couple of times and just kind of feather in towards the shimmer. And I did get a little bit messy with it over here. Which kind of seems to be what I do when I use my hands, because I have bigger fingers and they just kind of can make a mess. I feel like I'm not quite as intense on this eye. So far, the shades I used, you know, just obviously today's the first time I've used that, but those shades I used today all applied really well and blended nicely. She's bright. Get a little wet wipe here. And for foundation, I'm gonna use my Estee Lauder Futurist Hydra Rescue. I haven't used that one in a little while. Just trying to clean my little palette off here. And I have this in the shade 2C3 Fresco. I'm just going to put one pump on my little palette. And this is a pretty liquidy formula. I'm going to take my little e.l.f. sponge that I picked up recently, and I'm going to use the little silicone end to kind of dot this around. And then I'll use the other side to blend. More pump. It seems like I usually use 2 pumps of this to get the coverage that I want. The silicone end of this kind of reminds me of those silicone sponges from a few years back. Maybe 2015ish or so. It was like slapping your face with a chicken cutlet. I must have been extra hydrated today because this seems a little bit glowy. I'm going to go ahead and put some concealer on. I'm going to use the NYX Bare With Me Concealer Serum. I really like this concealer. I just hate the delivery method. It's got this pump. So it's just kind of hard to be real precise with your placement. I'm going to use my e.l.f. Camo Concealer Sponge. I don't know what keeps happening with the lights there. Just making double sure that's pressed in good. And I am going to set everything down with a little bit of powder, just because I feel a little bit on the shiny side. And I'm going to try this Moira translucent powder again. You know, it's got this weird component that I don't love, but there's a little bit in the lid, so I'm just going to take my little Beauty Blender Pocket Puff and kind of dip down in there. Kind of work it into that puff, and I am going to kind of tap it on the back of my hand just so I don't end up with a huge glob of powder. And I have ordered a few little triangle shaped powder puffs just to see, you know, some of really affordable ones, just to see how they compare to this little guy. Just waiting on them to be delivered. I think I got 6 or 7 of them for $7 or $8. And I'm not taking this powder up under my eyes. I have dry under eyes, and that's just a nightmare for me. And we'll go ahead and do some cheeks while that concealer's kind of setting down. For bronzer today, I'm going to use my L'Oreal Bronze Please in the shade Portofino. I really like this bronzer. It's got a nice warmth to it where it's not too orangey, but it gives you that, you know, nice bronzy glow. Not glow really, it's matte. They do have, I think they call it their Lumi Bronzit, that is kind of luminous, but I generally prefer matte bronzer. And for blush, I thought I would use the BH Cosmetics Chocolate Truffle palette again. This is the Chocolate Cherry Truffle, excuse me. It's got an angled blush brush, and I think we'll go in with, I think I'm going to go in with this kind of brighter pink shade. Does it have a name? I don't think it has a name. This is a nice buildable blush. Wears well. And y'all know I like a little on the nose and the forehead. And for highlight, I thought we would use my Milani Baked Highlighter in Dolce Pearl. And I'm just going to take this e.l.f., I think it's a putty blush applicator. I don't like it for putty blush or putty blush brush. I like this highlighter. You have to be careful though, because you can go a little overboard. We'll just dust a little up there as well. And we'll finish off our, just tapping that concealer, make sure it's pressed in good. And for brows, I'm gonna do the e.l.f. Brow Lift. It's just their clear, one of their newer products. I've really been enjoying this. I bought the little applicator that goes with it, but I'm not sure what I did with it. I'm just gonna tap, I've got a bent spoolie. Just gonna tap that in there. And then I'm gonna take it on my spoolie on the cap and kind of work it into the brush good. And then just brush these babies up. And like I mentioned before, this doesn't ever feel like it sets down fully, like it still feels a little bit tacky, but it holds the brows where you put them. And for lips, well, let's finish off our eyes and then we'll do lips. I'm just going to take that little tiny kind of fluffy pointy brush that I use with that, and then take a little bit of that deep pink and do a little on the outside, a little on the inside. And then we'll take a little of that shimmer and I am going to take the shimmer on this, the brush that we started with for my under eye. I'm going to kind of try to tuck it under the lashes so that I don't get it, so that my lashes don't knock it off everywhere. I think we'll leave that there, and then we'll do a little mascara. And I thought I would try this L'Oreal Voluminous Noir Balm again. I feel like it smudged on me, but for some reason, even though it's not been that long, I cannot remember for the life of me. Silicone wand. This is one of their newer mascaras. And sometimes even if I don't like a mascara, the first use after it sits for a little while, you know, how the formula kind of dries out a little bit and can be different. There's one coat. think I remember now this one doesn't build up super well. So we'll go for 3 coats. Yeah, that's 3 coats of that. It just doesn't build super well. And I feel like I'm getting shiny already after that. You know, even after putting that powder on. I'm going to reuse this e.l.f. Love Triangle lip liner. Not one of my favorites. It doesn't last a super long time for me on my lips. With this cooler weather, and this is the shade light brown, this cooler weather has got my lips just dry as a bone. I do like the shape of this because it's really easy to fill in your entire lip, which is I do a lot of times. A little bit hard for me to use this. And then for lipstick, I'm going to use this new L'Oreal Glow Paradise. I think they call it a balm in lipstick. This is the shade Blush Fantasy. We may have to tone that down a little bit with these pink eyes. Yeah, I think I'm going to take a little bit of my NYX Butter Gloss in Fortune Cookie and lighten this up a little bit. I'm just taking some on my finger and tapping it on so that I don't get lipstick all in the tube. But that L'Oreal Balm and lipstick is a really comfortable formula, and so is the Butter Gloss. So they're both really, they're not long lasting just due to the formula type, but they really feel great on your lips. And I would rather have something that feels great that I can reapply than something that feels dry and crusty. Especially this time of the year in the winter. My lips are super dry anyway, so. But that is our not so chatty Get Ready With Me. Well, I hope y'all enjoyed this. Just sitting down and kind of playing with some makeup, and I will see you guys in my next one. I thank you so much for watching and subscribing and all of that good stuff. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to my channel. Leave a comment down below. I appreciate every single one of you, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye, y'all.